So normally I do some writing before I come on here, and today I'm just somewhat freestyling. So Spirit is talking about that people. Hold on, gotta moisturize my situation. People are out here in the dating pool like broken eggs. Like broken eggs in a carton. So like when you go to the grocery store and you buy your eggs, you open the carton and you kind of examine them, look at them, whatever. But if you don't actually pick up each individual egg, there may be one that's like stuck to the carton because it has a crack in it and it's already been leaking and now it's stuck to the carton. So if you pull it out, there's going to be egg everywhere. So Spirit is basically saying that they look whole at first glance, but so broken that they're hollow inside because everything inside has already leaked out. Like every time I would say, the whole analogy of an egg is kind of like it starts at conception, where, your father contributes his DNA, however shabby or whole that is. Your mother contributes her DNA, however shabby or whole that is. And then as you are in your mother's womb during that gestational period, whatever emotions, whatever thoughts, whatever anxiety that she was going through, you're having to experience. You're taking on all that energy. And, I talked about this before. I would even go so far as to say that because your mother was born with all the eggs that she would ever have, and she was inside of her mother's womb, her eggs were or could have been adversely affected by your grandmother if your grandmother was toxic or had a rough pregnancy or was struggling in life when she was pregnant, or maybe struggling with substance use and things like that. So um but Spirit has really been talking to me about relationships because my whole life has been constant test after test after test around relationships. Now, I mean, I will argue that all of our lives have been, because you basically, everything in life centers on or hinges on relationships. So even if you are a complete hermit, recluse, whatever, you still have to have relationships with the bank, with your bills, the company that collects your bills. You know, it's not a relationship. Okay, now, it's not a relationship that can really be compared to a romantic relationship, of course. But regardless, I'm just speaking of relationships in general. I'm talking about interpersonal relationships in general. So, if you go to order some food at Wendy's or wherever, and you're just rude, nasty, and disgusting to the person taking your order, they might just pop back. They just might pop back at you. So, And I mean, we've seen all the videos where people have gotten into all out brawls in these places where the customer does something absolutely ludicrous, like spitting on the person, and the person jump over the damn counter. So, I mean, a whole host of things could take place potentially in life based on relationships. And I've had to become very emotionally intelligent. I've had to become very emotionally balanced and energetically balanced, and I'm still working on it. Like, I shake my head every day, like, I've done all this work and I still find myself in situations like with potential romantic relationships where I might do or say something to sabotage the shit, or you know let some part of my trauma affect how I interact with the person or relate to the person. If someone, you know, is displaying narcissistic tendencies, I may allow that to trigger the things that I had to deal with my mother. So, like, life is all about trials and testing and lessons and overcoming and resilience. But the biggest part is just being able to acknowledge your shit. If you cannot acknowledge what needs to be worked on, then you're just going to stay exactly where you are, and it may actually get worse. I said you're going to stay where you are, or it may actually get worse. And, like, I've talked about this the other day. Nobody in their right mind wants to have to face their pain and their trauma. Nobody in their right mind wants to acknowledge their bullshit. Nobody wants to sit there and do all this introspection and cry and feel the pain and all of those things. But when you don't do the work, you're delaying the inevitable. Like, because spirit is like, you're going to do the work. If you're going to do it this way, or you going to just go ahead and get it over with and do it this way, you're going to have to do the work. And, this isn't a popular message. Yeah, I feel like spirit is saying that it's having a lack of boundaries too. When you do not set proper boundaries with people, especially within different relationship dynamics, people will continue to damn wreak havoc on your life. really feel like I'm talking about like family dynamics. Like this is more of like family than romantic. And I feel like this is basically like family trying to downplay your gifts, downplay your creativity, try to like create the illusion that they support you, but they really don't support you. Cuz you know, people can pretend to like encourage you and support you and tell you how proud of you they are if it somehow benefits them. So like if you getting your PhD or you becoming a nurse or you having a executive position at a major movie firm or whatever in the heart of New York City, like if that allows your parents to to have bragging rights about you, then that's how it benefits them. um I'm not even talking about financially because I don't feel like finances is an issue. I feel that your family had the opportunity to assist you but didn't on many occasions. So like finances for you may have been very topsy-turvy. Maybe because you were giving too much to people that were actually hiding abundance from you, trying to hide your own abundance from you, whether that be physically, like money, or spiritually, by trying to suppress your gifts. All right, now get the ball. Get the toy. Get the toy. Jeez. They were about to try to tear that chair up to get the toy. Yeah, usually when my spirit team confirms that I'm reading the energy correctly by giving me the judgment card, like you want to it, you calling judgment on the situation. And like spirit is saying, whether you do the work or not, you still gonna be judged. So, I mean, it's all like everything. I feel like spirit is saying that everything comes full circle. So like, are you going to create a situation for yourself where it takes you longer, more tests, more challenges? Do you feel like you have to be presented with more of that in order to get right? Because either way, you gonna have to wake up. I feel like the Five of Swords in reverse is like giving the energy that these people that were messing with you, like messing with your head, messing with your thoughts, messing with like, because older people can sometimes really influence the way younger people think. There's some radical younger people who go against the grain and aren't conformists, and they maintain that personality. And that's one of the most hated personalities, because being that most people just go along to get along, they believe everything that's put out in the media, or they pretend to believe everything that's put out in the media. Um, you know, just basically believe in the hype. Those people are the type of people that cannot stand your authenticity. They cannot stand you doing for yourself, thinking for yourself, creating your own ideas, not having to copy anyone else because you know how creative and unique you are. That is one of the most hated personality types. And don't be in a situation where, like, you don't have the finances. People in your family who do have the finances that brag about that shit and like throw it in your face knowing that you struggling out here financially, they cannot even imagine or fathom how you could have a happy bone in your body as broke as you are. Because they're thinking about it like, if I was in that situation, if I was that damn, bad off, touch and go every month, check to check, they're thinking about like the type of mindset they would be in that predicament. I'm hearing business deals going bad. I feel like there may have been an instance where, like, your family felt like by you getting a certain position, like, say somebody in your family had a business that was in alignment with a position that they helped you get, and the expectation was that you were going to help them get, like some business out of it, or contract or whatever. And the thing is this: there are some really unscrupulous people in this world, even parents. When I tell you, Spirit is talking about a situation where a parent helped their child get a job. And it went something like, you can have your daughter work for him. However, he's this, and this way. So the person could even be married, doesn't have to be married. But it was kind of like, I don't care, he can have her like that. Like it was maybe not like a formal handover, but it was like, I'm going to keep my mouth shut, because if she does sleep her way into his good graces or sleep her way to the top or whatever, that's just going to be like an added perk for me to try to get my foot in the door to get the contract. Meanwhile, your father is supposed to be the one who protects you with all of his life. He's supposed to be the one that is like, I would do anything and everything to make sure that my child is safe, happy, healthy, financially, like at least secure. I'm not going to enhance my child to the point of her living better than me, but if I've got it, I'm going to do whatever I can to assist her or him. But like, it's really giving the energy of like some pimp shit. Yeah, I feel like you said, no, I'm not sleeping with that person. I'm not doing it. I'm not laying down and selling my soul for a parent who could not care any less about me. And the thing is that what happens is, if everything is above board, like there's no underhandedness, no sneakiness, no trying to like weasel your way into a situation. Like, if my daughter had the ability to help my business out wherever she works, I would have a conversation with her and just say, yo, listen, since you work at Pizza Hut and it's franchised, my company sells shredded mozzarella. So, yo, hook mama up. I mean, it's as simple as a conversation. But because you think, and this is a whole other part of this spirit is talking about, like the whatever parent I'm talking about, this parent had an idea of the daughter as like loose. Like, oh, she's loose anyway. Like, she'll probably enjoy it, and maybe she'll benefit financially. I'll get my contract and we'll all be happy. Like, really? Like, that's giving, like, you might need to register as a S offender. Cause I'm like, just the thought of that is so creepy. I'm not even looking at this card for like the traditional meaning at all, because spirit is like, oh, we got him though. And I'm hearing a fate worse than death. You see how those people are getting trampled? Spirit is like, oh, we fucking them up. We coming through. They like, don't even worry, my love. Because the divine wants us to feel in our body, our heart, our mind, our soul, every fiber of our being. They want us to know that we are divinely guided and protected and loved and honored and cherished. How can we possibly love ourselves if we don't really believe that our higher self loves us, the divine loves us, our spirit team loves us? Because really, that's where it starts. It starts with a belief. It starts with a belief in other people. It starts with a belief, and it's like a belief or lack of belief in other people, a belief or lack of belief in yourself. I started really believing in myself when I started getting messages from my higher self and my spirit team. I was like, this spirit realm is real. Hot damn. Because I know that I am a very high ranking spiritual being. But from a human perspective, I have no idea. I have no clue as to what that really means or what that really looks like. They can tell me who I am all day. I can see the evidence in my gifts. But if I don't fully believe that, then it's going to be hard for me not to compete with people. It's going to be hard for me not to want to step on people's necks to get where I need to go. It's going to be hard for me not to sell my soul to have a 6-figure plus job. Because what it all boils down to is money. And that's why the 10 of Pentacles came out in reverse. It all boils down to money. Every single relationship on this planet is transactional. Oh, well, if I take you out to a restaurant and the bill is, it's not happy hour or something, and the bill is like $100, you gonna have to give up something. Or I'm not taking her out until she give up something. Then, like I said, the parent-child relationship. Either your parent is keeping money from you, or they're damn, what was it? I just lost my train of thought. Either they're keeping money from you or they're taking money from you. That's what I was getting ready to say. There's some parents who are very generous. I know parents that have the money, they buying their kids houses. They're making sure, like those are basic necessities. Like buying your child a house and furniture and a car. Like if you're a celebrity and you got it like that, and you can do that for your kids so that they're not in debt for basic, ordinary, regular shit, that is a miracle. That is a blessing. That is one of the greatest things that you can do for your child as a parent, is to put them through school debt-free, set them up for, so like I found out way after the fact that if your parents have good credit or whoever, and they add you to their credit cards as a user, that benefits you. It doesn't mean that they give you a credit card. It doesn't mean that you're going to be able, you have a spending limit or anything like that. It just means that you're like riding on their back financially. So if your parents have an 850 credit score, hell, I don't even know if the shit goes up to 850, but let's just pretend. If your parents have an 850 credit score and they pay, they're only using 10% of their credit cards, they pay it off every month, blah, 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 blah. By the time, if they start that when you enter college, by the time you get out of college, you'll have like an 800 plus credit score. Then if you don't have to take out any student loans, that's a blessing. Then if they're able to give you either a down payment for a house or just pay for a house, that's another blessing, because that's one of people's biggest expenses. Aside from like an astronomical car payment, or having to put an infant in daycare type shit, the house note is typically the biggest expense for up and coming young people. So you mean to tell me if I have it, I'm not going to pay cash for my children to go to college? And if I have it, I'm not going to put them in a position to where they get out of college, they have outstanding credit, then we teach them how to manage finances. I'm not talking about just giving children just whatever and they're not any, remotely responsible, doing something unscrupulous or whatever. I'm saying that when your parents see that you're doing your part and then they meet you halfway, like, okay, if you go to college and you finish college and you maintain a decent GPA, I'll go ahead and pay any fees for school and I'll give you a house when you graduate. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It could be like your basic starter home. Nowadays, tiny homes are amazing. It could be a tiny home. But all I'm saying is that when people keep abundance from you and then try to mess with your head about it, like, oh, we have plenty of money. Meanwhile, you're sitting here talking about, I don't even, make enough money to qualify for an apartment, let alone afford a house or a down payment or, because I don't care what it is. When you trying to get a mortgage, they looking at how much you make. You could have an 850 credit score. If you making $15 an hour with an 850 credit score, you're still going to have to make more money. So it's just, it's so frustrating. Yeah, I feel like spirit is saying that these people dumb as hell. Like they couldn't even come up with a real plan to like really try to take you out. Because what happens is when people can't stand you and for whatever reason, like it could be something like I wasn't ready to have children. Thank you for the follow. It could be something like I wasn't ready to have children, but you forced me to be a father. So I'm going to resent you and the child for me being forced into parenthood. Something like that. Why in the hell would you blame the child for being brought into the world? And this is giving the energy too of like a father resenting having to be a father because he doesn't want to pay child support and all this other shit. So, like, it's giving the energy like if I pretend like I'm not the father, then maybe I can, get out of it. And now let me say this as a caveat though, and I've said this before. It is, it does take two to tango. However, there's some real trifling women out here that will do stuff like put holes in condoms and things like that. And that is just disgusting. If you trap a man out like that and he's trying to do what he has to do to protect himself, you are one of the most trifling hoes. Because it's one thing when a man is just out here being reckless, contracting STDs and, just being all over the place, getting multiple people pregnant at the same time. There's a difference between that person saying, "Oh, I didn't want to be a father, you forced me to be a father," and the other person who's trying to be a responsible human being, knowing that they don't want to be a father, knowing that it's not the time for that, but then someone else manipulates their free will. Spirit said that was a bad plan. Not good planning at all. Spirit said if somebody's parents would actually listen to their children, they might be more emotionally mature. Because nowadays it seems like the children are more emotionally mature than the parents. When I tell you, I am so immensely proud of how emotionally intelligent my daughter is. When I listen to her talk, when I listen to how she rationalizes and analyzes things and puts the pieces of the puzzle together, I'm like, I raised an amazing human being. Because that is what the fuck we're supposed to be thriving for when it comes to our children. But, people just want you to be in the dark, unsuccessful. And a lot of times people will be fake happy and they don't want you to be happy. Like, if you look at this person is like, I don't have any friends, don't come near me. I'm not trying to hear anything you say. I don't want to see you. I don't want you around. They just wanted you to be in this energy, like not enjoying life or anything. And it's because your mind is clear. Clear channel. You see how those swords look like antennas to the cosmos? Spirit said, your intuition, your thoughts, how you analyze things, how you break things down, how you tell people about themselves, how you read people like a book. They want you to not be able to see them. They want you to not be able to see them. They don't want you near them. Because you see too much when you're near them. Yeah, like I said, this father figure that was supposed to protect you, that was supposed to be like your leader when it comes to finances and managing money and creativity and helping you to move forward as a fiscally sound individual. This person was really supposed to lead the way for you. And it's like I'm hearing Spirit say, this is what they agreed to before they incarnated. They were in spirit, like, oh yeah, and I'm gonna support her financially, and I'm going to make sure that she doesn't have any debt. And I'm going to always make sure that I'm, imparting my wisdom and making sure that she's making good decisions for her future. And and this person was just like, I hate it. The person was like, I hate myself so much that I want her to feel the same way. It's like the energy of resenting the fact that they had you, but also resenting the fact that you have overcome so much adversity. The adversities that they would not have been able to overcome. For instance, maybe you had the courage to get divorced, but your mother didn't have the courage to get divorced, so she can't stand you because of that. Or, like in my mother's case, it was a situation like my father wanted a divorce from my mother, so my mother never forgave him. She blamed me for the divorce, basically, and was like, taking sides with my ex-husband, like, oh, well, I understand how he feels because he had a hard time with the divorce like I did. What? Sis, go sit down somewhere. Like I said, you call it like you see it every single time, and motherfuckers hate it. And Spirit said, we love it, we honor it, we cherish it, and we're going to nourish it. Because we need for you to be totally clear when it's time for you to talk your shit. I'm hearing when it's time to read your victim statement. Because some of y'all, these people done stole large amounts of money from you. So when the gavel comes down, start getting ready with your victim statement for the sentencing. Yeah, try to slow you down. They did not want you to master your energy because that meant that you would be getting messages from the divine. Your people have always known since you were a little child that you were tapped all the way the fuck in. When you read people like a book, people don't like that, especially adults, and it's a child. If a child reads you for filth, like it's giving the energy of somebody on the phone and they talking to their girlfriend like, yeah, girl, da, 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 da. And then they get off the phone and they say something to the child, and then the child turn around like, weren't you just on the phone telling that person that da, 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 da? And your parent is pissed because you like 3-4 years old calling people all the way the fuck out. Even if it wasn't that advanced. I thought you said even if it's something, that's kind of juvenile, but all I'm saying is that your mind has always put the puzzle pieces together. It's like you've always known how to analyze a situation from start to finish. Like, these pieces aren't adding up based on what I'm being told. And so people do not like getting called out, especially if you have older parents who came from that generation where children were only seen and not heard. And a child had to stay in their place. And parents didn't apologize to children. And parents did not acknowledge or validate anybody's emotions or feelings. Yeah, as a father figure. Is definitely somebody's pappy. Yeah. Your father was supposed to be your protector, and instead just did his own thing. Very selfish. And I'll say self-centered, because I don't really like the word selfish, because I feel like you should put yourself first at all times. No matter who it is. You should always put yourself first. You should always prioritize yourself. But being self-centered, it's like everything is about me. I don't really care. Like I was talking about feelings. Like, I don't care about that person's feelings. Nobody cared about my feelings. That type of energy. That energy of, if I had to struggle through school and pay my tuition and work and do all this, then you gonna have to do the same. That is such a dumbass mentality. I went to school and I got degrees because I wanted my children to have better than I had. There is never a time when I would wish that my children had less than I've ever had. There is never a time when I want my children to struggle in any capacity. And again, there's differences to everyone's situation. I'm not saying if the person is, strung out and could potentially harm themselves by getting money or, an apartment or something like that. I'm not saying to just give people things that, aren't even able to manage their lives themselves. I'm saying that if you see that someone is making an effort, and for you as a parent to have the means to support that child, and you just choose not to because you a self-centered son of a... Oh, Lord. Lucy's a bot. And this was sitting down on the desk. I didn't even realize this came out in the reverse. But this is basically what I was just saying. Like, this is the energy of, you have the divine's money and you keeping it from their chosen. That is the divine's money. There is no portion of this earth that belongs to anyone in a human meat suit. Therefore, there is no amount of money that does not belong to the divine. I'm just the messenger. So we have the Page of Wands in reverse. And I feel like this is like the father figure trying to influence the child negatively. So this would be when you were younger, like if I'm talking to an adult right now, when you were growing up, They were using their energy to try to um just create like what's the word that I'm trying to find? I want to say like a state of uneasiness. Um so the opposite of that, I feel like they're saying the opposite of homeostasis. So like when your body is in a state of homeostasis, like everything is running on time perfectly, no blockages, just, free flowing, everything is perfectly timed and orchestrated, and everything is just humming right along, no pains, no aches, no nothing. um but it's like this person was constantly creating energetic, like jagged places within you. And it developed over time. It's like given the energy of having like internal scar tissue. um it was like taking a jab and then letting the scab grow over, and then like ripping the scab off, so that it would be harder for you to fully heal. Thank you for the likes. Yeah, I feel like this is spirit saying you are held in high honor in the spirit realm. And you will be held in high honor in this realm as well. You will have everything you need and be fully stable, grounded. And I've been talking about this, how the divine wants to show up and show out. Do you know how much money it would take for the divine to provide you, for them to show up and show out? Because the divine show up and show out is far beyond any kind of money that any humanly vessel could accumulate. And like you could, I don't care if the person is like the richest person on the planet, has multiple billion-dollar streams of income. I don't care how much money that person is making. There is absolutely nothing in comparison to what the provision that the divine can provide. Will provide is what I'm hearing. And this is like you commanding empires. I've talked about this before. When you sit on the throne, the throne of God? I'm hearing you are meant for greatness. You are meant to be in the spotlight. Yeah, like I said earlier, this family was not trying to support you at all. They may have made it seem like it, but nah. They knew you were a star, but didn't want you to know. I said earlier, they always knew that you were tapped all the way in, and they tried to make sure that you never truly understood that or knew that. And you know how parents do that? It could be as simple as go be quiet and go sit down. I'm tired of hearing you talk now. It could be just as simple as that. What are you talking about? Like you don't make sense. I hope that nobody would talk to their children like that. I've heard parents call their children stupid, dumb, goofy, like even though that may seem cute at the time, that shit ain't nothing cute about that shit. Now, when they're an adult and they know who they are at that point, and your words just roll off their back because they just be laughing at you because they genuinely think it's funny and they know better, that's one thing. But when a child is growing and developing and hasn't really gotten to know themselves, hasn't really even had that many experiences where they can say they have a proven track record in doing this well or that well or whatever. Because people grow and they appreciate themselves, they trust themselves, and they love themselves based on their confidence in knowing that they are doing something well. Their confidence in knowing that they have a gift. And people, like their parents, validating those gifts so that they can grow in them and become more comfortable and become more confident. But instead, you got family members that are like, well, we don't like that type of gift. They talk too much. They too grown. So we're not going to put this child in a position where they are comfortable with collaborating with people, with sharing their ideas, with contributing to a group. That's how we become so shy. Because it is, as an adult, it still happens as an adult. Like it actually happened to me the other day where like I'm in a group of people and like everybody will be talking, and then I'll say something and everybody will be like, And then somebody else will say something, and then everybody will be like, oh, for real, yeah. Just doing that bullshit will block the fuck out of somebody's throat chakra. Because it's like when you get your face played, like, yeah, nobody really cares what you're talking about type energy. Why would you want to talk after that? Why would you be comfortable with public speaking after that? Why would you be confident in your voice? Why would you be confident in knowing that you can articulate your words, your thoughts in a coherent, clear, concise manner? When it seems like everything you say is met with either opposition, hatred, jealousy, competition. Did I say competition? I can't say competition enough. I am so over people trying to compete. I don't know what to do. I just want to live my life. You just go live yours. It's not that hard. Like I said, always feeling like people coming against your throat chakra. Always feeling like people are coming against your authenticity. Always like people are trying to like downplay your amazing personality. People have really tried to make you feel unwanted, unappreciated. They refuse to acknowledge you. They refuse to see you. I said refuse to acknowledge you and see you. The most hated. I'm hearing the most hated, but the most elevated. It's giving the energy of like someone who was a wife and is a mother, but was basically just being made out to be a horrible person by your ex-husband and to your children. And do you know the divine is saying that for a divine mother to be made to feel like she was not a good mother to her children, that is the ultimate worst thing that you could do to a divine mother. Because when a divine mother loves her children, she wants her children to be happy, healthy, content, clothed, fed, sheltered. She wants her children to thrive in school. She wants her children to have healthy social relationships. She wants her children to play sports and learn how to work as a team with others and to develop what their skill is, what their athletic ability is. She wants her children to know how to pray and meditate and visualize their future. She wants her children to know what eating well is. She doesn't want her children out having damn fast food every night. And that's no shade to anybody who has to do what they got to do for the time being. The Divine Mother will sacrifice to make sure that her family and her children have what they need. She's not complaining. She may be exhausted. She may have had to work multiple jobs, but she's not complaining. She's just going home, crawling into bed, getting up to do it all over again. She'll sacrifice and drive her son to a school where they have to get up and be out of the house by 5:30 a.m., go to this specialized school because he needs a smaller environment to thrive in. Y'all drive up to the school, get in the carpool lane, and go to sleep for an hour. Because you need to be the first one in the carpool line so that you can dash out of there as soon as the bell rings so that you can get to work on time. The Divine Mother sacrifices food, sleep, her emotional well-being, her physical well-being. And I'm not saying that, these are badges of honor, because we really need to be caring for ourselves. We should not be working, or we should not have to work multiple jobs. You should be able to get a full 8 hours of sleep, or whatever amount is appropriate for you. But I guarantee you that you're going to need more than 2 hours of sleep. Yeah, like I said, the Divine Mother sacrifices herself. And this is like, even though this is a Lover's card, this is like the balance of the masculine and feminine energy. And so when the masculine and feminine energy is out of balance, then you have situations like, so what I was just describing of like a mother having to be a single mother, take on the role of mom and disciplinarian, and transporting kids and working multiple jobs and things like that. This individual in that state is completely imbalanced in their masculine and feminine, because the feminine is having to constantly be in a masculine energy in order to get everything done. Yeah, doing too much, giving too much of yourself. In the context of this reading, I know what this card means, but in the context of this reading, it would be just over giving, over giving of yourself. But again, that's what a mother does for her child. Spirit was like, that's a mother and child in that picture. Like, she'll overgive and give all of her cups to her children, to her detriment. And also too, like, she's willing to be in a more vulnerable position. That's what I'm hearing. Because when there are times when a mother has to make, possibly be attacked or be on the attack, not be on the attack, but there's times when people are attacked by the opposite parent, and sometimes you just don't need to defend yourself. And that's part of sacrificing for your children. Sometimes it's not worth the fight. Sometimes it's not worth having your children have to experience fighting and trauma and chaos and end up with panic attacks and nervous disorders and anxiety. Sometimes it's worth being made out to be the bad person and just be patient and wait for your children to realize who's really who. Well, I've been talking about sacrificing, and this definitely resembles Jesus on the cross, like the sacrifice. So we have the lovers and we have the devil in reverse. And I talk about how this is like the lighter side of relationships and this is the darker side of relationships. And so I was talking about how this is like an imbalance of the masculine and feminine in the light, and then this would be an imbalance of the masculine and feminine in the dark as well. So we're talking about imbalance on top of imbalance. So not only is your masculine and feminine imbalanced, but your darkness, like your shadow side and your light side, are also out of whack. But that's what happens when you are like putting yourself on the back burner and, like I said, maybe working multiple jobs, making sure everyone else is taken care of, doing all those things. And so, like, Spirit is saying, it's hard to love when you're light and dark and masculine and feminine are out of balance. Because this is also giving to like hyper independence, not wanting to ask for help. And that's actually what spirit is talking about, is actually um like the masculine part of us. I know that darkness is associated with feminine and light is associated with masculine, but spirit is talking about um like when we have not been protected by the men in our lives, when we have felt uncovered, then that is basically why it's harder to trust people. It's harder to even trust ourselves. It's harder to trust the divine. Because when you really um have been, I would say, I would go so far as to say neglected, like even if it's emotionally neglected, that really has a long-term effect. And I said it really has a long-term effect. Pentacles are very slow moving, and also too, like it takes time to cultivate these different pentacles, because this is like the fruit of his labor, the display of his creativity. We have the Page of Swords and the Eight of Pentacles in reverse. This is giving copycat energy to me, because it's like no new ideas, which is stagnating the creativity. So I know this is in the upright, but for the context of the way that the energy is reading, it's like ideas, your creativity is going to be very stagnant. So while you think it's a great idea, it's a great new idea, new thought, spirit is like, it's the same shit, different day. Because this is like new ideas, but lack of creativity. So, like, that's giving copycat energy. It's giving, I'm going to act like this was my idea, but I really just basically stole it from somebody else. Yeah, so like this in the upright to me would fall in line with like stealing other people's ideas and thoughts, but it came out in the reverse. So I feel like spirit is like, no worries. Nobody is stealing a thing. Like they may have thought that they came up with this clever idea to slow you down, but they haven't done a damn thing. because you're not even thinking about any of these people. Like, you may think about them from time to time, but you're not really like expending any lengthy thought process, or you're not like spending any length of time thinking about them. They might pop in your head every now and then, but nah. Yeah, I said you're not spending any time thinking about these people. Yeah, look, the world does not revolve around them, is what Spirit said. It does not. Everybody is not thinking about you. Everybody is not concerned about what you got going on. Because that's the thing. When people are competitive, when people are doing people dirty, they always think somebody is doing them dirty. They always think somebody is trying to compete. And I'm not saying always in the sense like always, but I'm saying that most times the people who are doing the shit. Now, if you're a reader and you're just reading the energy, I reads the energy. So I'm not talking about something just to be talking about it. I'm talking about it because Spirit wants me to talk about it. So if I'm talking about like karmics or doing spell work or anything like that, it's because I need to talk about it, because people need to be exposed. And that's why when I talk about it, when I call people out, they will report my live from outside the live. And I realize that not many people want to come in the live. Because if I'm reading your energy for filth from outside the live, if you come in the live, the way I'm going to read your energy. So most people don't want that type of exposure. I said most people don't want that type of exposure. The Hermit shines a light within and without. And people do not like to be seen like that. I said people do not like to be seen like that. We have the Ace of Wands in the upright. Spirit say you got that divine gift, energy, sight. I'm hearing you see through the divine's eyes. Like you read energy through the divine's eyes. Oh, okay. The High Priestess. I said you see energy through the divine's eyes, and the High Priestess comes out. Like a whoop and a doop. Like that's all I can think of. That girl that when she was, she's like, I'm trying to make it go whoop. It's gonna do. Oh God. Spirit said these people try to make you feel like a complete failure. Like you would never amount to anything. Like you would never be successful enough to be accepted and approved by them. And Spirit said, who gives a damn what you accept and what you approve? Spirit said, don't be such a people pleaser that it knocks you off of your throne. I said, don't be so much of a people pleaser that it knocks you off of your throne. You're doing too fucking much. You're juggling too many options, juggling too many people, and it does not. This is not related to any kind of romantic relationship, but it has everything to do with being a people pleaser. Look at him. He looks like he's sitting up there trying to please people, trying to entertain people. He got a whole ass like clown hat, costume, and all that shit. This is not the minstrel show. You are not here to shuck and jive for other people. Especially not to get your coin. I say you are not here to shuck and jive for other people. Spirit said you can keep all of your cups to yourself. If you don't do nothing else, you can keep all of your cups to yourself at this point. Because when you're constantly pouring out and pouring out and pouring out and pouring out, and no one is pouring back into you, that's where burnout exists. You know, it's like you always giving people genuine compliments. You're encouraging people, but the same people are so jealous of you that they can't muster up a compliment for you. It's like, damn, I don't look nice any day? Or I just look nice today? And that's minor, but it's like, you know you look good. And you know, and I know that you know that they know that you look good. So with that being said, somebody can give a compliment at some point. But the Spirit said, it's all good. You getting it all the way together. And Spirit's like, you ain't losing no sleep over nobody. You are getting good sleep, rest. These people are not taking up any space in your mind. And that's fucking with them too. I said, and that's fucking with them too. Your energy fucks with them. For real, for real. They cannot stand your energy. Oh well. Yeah, I said they can't stand your energy. Don't want to be around you. Don't want to work with you. Because when people work with you, you naturally outshine others by not even trying. That's what's so wild to people. You outshine everyone without even trying. Do you know how miraculous and supernatural that is? That is a whole ability and gift in itself. And I'm not talking to everybody who may be watching this or see this at some point. So please take it as it resonates. You know good and damn well if I'm not talking to your ass. And I said, you know good and well if I'm not talking to you. If your energy doesn't look royal, regal, if you're not out here looking like and acting like and talking like a spiritual warrior, I am not talking to you. Mm. And I feel like in a lot of cases, your people didn't want to help you because they were trying to live, what's it called? Like the Joneses. So they made it really look good, like they had it going on. But for real, that shit was looking real jacked up behind the scenes. Yeah, I said it was looking real jacked up behind the scenes. Low key, high key. Shit was, they was getting fucked up by life. They made it look real good. Like if Instagram was a thing back in the day, your parents would have made Instagram look like they were living the lifestyles of the damn rich and famous. Yeah, I was talking about how you bounce back. You don't let things get you down. People can't believe how happy you are despite being put in this position. It's because you built up your strength. I'm hearing nobody greater. That strength is strong. Spirit is comparing your energy to a wild beast, like in the picture. When you're able to tame the wild beast within, you can overcome any situation. I say you can overcome any situation. Yeah, folk wanted you to be burdened, thought you were going to be burdened, thought you were going to act like you couldn't go forward and you wouldn't be able to go on and you just too beat down. It's a sick, twisted world when people want to see you like in this energy right here, burdened, beat down, exhausted. People want to see you in that energy and then pretend to care about you, pretend to support you out of that. It's like somebody coming, like it's like say you have a child and they come to you and they're like, I really need this, I really want to get a house, but I have like $10,000 in credit card debt or whatever. And you sitting on $1 million and you can't help your child pay off $10,000 in debt. So that they can get a house. You know, it's that type of energy. Yeah. Like just misusing their authority, misusing their power, misusing their influence. Like, oh well, you know, I could help you with maybe like 1,000 or 2,000. What? Spirit is like, we put you in this position. We put you in a leadership position because you said that you were going to do this and you were going to do that. And you were going to be a great parent and you were going to make sure that your kids were, you know, mentally strong and, you know, not burdened and all of that. But you ended up still doing this dumb shit. Like, you just could not get it together. Fucking with people's head. We have the Queen of Cups and the Four of Cups in reverse. I feel like Spirit is saying when you had that awakening is when you started to really see people. So when this was the awakening, and actually I feel like this is really seeing yourself too. So like you had to have an awakening to really see who your higher self is. To really connect with your higher self emotionally. To allow that energy to love you. There is no one in the cosmos that can love you more than your higher self. Yeah, like I was saying earlier, these people got the means to assist and just won't do it. It's basically like the government saying we don't have enough money to fund the food stamp program, but now they spending billions of dollars on the war. I didn't say that though. I'm just a messenger. Like I'm still, I was not that damn swift in math, but I'm still trying to add two and two together. Like, how does that add up? Down. Oops. Sorry, I need to burn some incense. Spirit must be telling me somebody giving me the evil eye. Down, 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 down. Yeah, somebody giving me the evil eye. Like I said the other day, a hit dog will holler. We have the Ten of Cups in reverse and the King of Cups in reverse. So, yeah, definitely a misuse of power within the family dynamic. And, low key, high key, whatever key, it be the women. It be the women having this negative ass influence over the men, turning them against their children, like making it so that they're prioritized. And I'm not saying that a marriage should not be prioritized over the children, because I believe that the couple, like, everything runs down. So if the couple is unhappy, if they don't prioritize their relationship, not to the neglect of the children, but I feel like the couple should prioritize their relationship for the mental and emotional stability of the family. Excuse me. However, the caveat is that it, like I said, it should not be to the neglect or detriment of the children. So if you're prioritizing your relationship in an unhealthy way, and saying things like, I just making it like you have to choose me, it's either me or your children. Why should that man have to choose between you and his children? There's no comparison. Y'all, well, I mean, some people marry men old enough to have children their age, but in a typical situation, I guess, like the parents are much older than the children. So, like, Spirit's like, go on and start planning what you're gonna do with your abundance, where it's going to take you. Because when you master your energy, when you figure out who you are, when you take your throne back, when you take your power back, when you tame your darkness, And Spirit is saying that to get to this Queen of Wands energy, it takes planning. It takes discipline, it takes planning, it takes organization. And I said it takes organization. Because what Spirit is saying is that they can present you with an innumerable amount of opportunities. But what are you going to do with them? Nobody, I was thinking about that earlier today. I was like, nobody wants to be embarrassed by somebody that they, are connected to. Because I was, talking to my spirit team and I was like, I really need to be careful about who I'm aligning myself with. Because let's just say, I remain friends with someone who I don't want to represent me. Like, we could be cool as friends, but I wouldn't recommend you to work for somebody I know and care about because your attitude is shitty. That type of energy. Like, I can tolerate you because you don't work for me and I don't work for you. And so, the attitude really doesn't affect me that much. But would I want you to name drop me and potentially get a job with someone off of the strength of me? And I don't align with, how you move. Nah. Because when you have influence, you have to be extremely careful because these are very impressionable people. When you are put in this type of authority position, it holds a tremendous amount of responsibility. And it is my responsibility to not allow people to come with me to the next chapter. Because if they're not representing me well, if they're not truly being genuinely supportive of me, of my movement, like if you half-ass believed in my gifts now, but when it's made publicly known who I am, then you want to I knew you were someone special the whole time. Like, get the fuck out of here. I say, get the fuck out of here. You can't go. Like, normally up here, upright, it would be going somewhere, like going away, turning your back. Yeah, you can't go. You can't go. We have the Queen of Swords in reverse. And yeah, Spirit is like, if these people are like negative all the damn time, they're not truly supporting you, they play your face and throw digs at you. It always amazes me that wealthy, successful people will have people around them that punk them. Like, why would you do? And I think that it's, especially in the Black community, it's like, if those were your homies before, you have to take them with you because they were down for you when you didn't have anything. And, don't forget where you came from and don't switch up because now you got it. If it's somebody, and this is what I have always said, if there's somebody who I know genuinely loves me, cares for me, rocks with me, was encouraging me, holding me down when it was rough out here, that just showed unconditional love and support and believed in me more than I believed in myself, that person can go all day. But I don't, like, there's so few people in this world that are actually like that. It's going to be a miracle for me to have a soul tribe that's genuinely like that. Because what happens is people are like, I don't like that she or he is better at what they do than me. I don't like that they more magical than me. I don't want them taking my clients and taking my money. That's what ends up happening. Why he or she making so much money and I have gifts, I can read energy. Why I'm not making that type of money? Like, this is that whack ass type energy. Whack ass. And Spirit said, catch me if you can. That's why you're not making that type of money. Because instead of, bless you, instead, y'all so cute. Instead of using your money, you instead of utilizing your energy on you, instead of focusing on you, instead of moving forward for you, you steadily looking back at other people, trying to figure out what they got going on. Then when they blow past you, then you want to act like you don't know how it happened. It happened because you blew it. And I said, you blew it. You came here. Spirit, the divine, the galactic council sent you here. Confirmation. As an earth angel to balance out this planet. And you blew it. And Spirit is like, when powerful energies like that blow their mission, it just makes it even tougher for the people who are doing well. You know how it's like some employees like, oh, nah, I'm not going to let them know that I know how to do that because then they're going to make me do that all day. Or I'm not going to do this like to perfection because I don't want them thinking that I'm a master at this and they can have me doing this all day and teaching other people. Nah. Like, that's the energy. We got justice. The divine is going to always balance the scales. Even if your bum ass blew your mission know who I'm talking to, but you know who I'm talking to. I'm just waiting for you to report my live for hate speech. But I am still going to say what the divine has told me to say. And the divine says, since you couldn't do it, we got this. It's, and Spirit is saying, it's one thing to have a mission that just affects you and your bloodline, but when the Galactic Council and the divine give someone a mission that can impact the world and they blow that mission, Spirit said, use a damn fool if I ain't never seen one. Who the fuck has this big of a mission and you blow it being goofy and foolish? Because Spirit is like, it's not like anybody else was in your way. I'm putting kind of a negative spin on this card for this particular spread, but nobody's in this person's way. They can take that leap of faith. They can step out on faith. They can have a new beginning at any given moment. But instead, you blew it. And Spirit is saying, you see how close this person is to the edge? You had to climb that mountain back there. You had to climb over the other side of the mountain. Challenge after challenge after challenge. And you get right here to the edge and blow it. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. But yeah, you blew it. Spirit said, and you can't fight. So even if you think you a fighter in the natural, you cannot fight. You are not the gangster you claim to be when you signed up for this shit. Spirit said it never pays to be a punk. And Spirit said a punk won't take that leap of faith. A fool will do all of that work, build your business and all this other shit just to get right there. Two steps from all abundance. I said 2 steps from all abundance. The divine would have poured out an abundance upon you. Refuse the healing. Refuse the help. Playing the victim, I'm hearing. When people play the victim, there's no way to play the victim and take accountability. Because if you know anything about like victim assistance work, you never blame the victim. Like, that is a no. How you gonna blame the victim because they forgot and left their door unlocked? But because you're blaming them for the burglary. Yes, they had um a responsibility to lock their door, but the robber, the burglar, had an even bigger responsibility to stay out of their house. So they weren't the ones doing anything illegal. Mistakenly leaving your door unlocked is not illegal. But burglarizing someone's house is very illegal. And you especially do not blame the victim if it's like a domestic violence type situation or anything like that. That is one of the worst things you can do. So if you're going to play the victim, then you're not going to be able to heal because you're not taking any accountability. Even if it's just taking the accountability for making a whack ass choice in dealing with somebody. Yeah, that was whack of me because I saw the red signs. I mean the red flags in the beginning. So yeah, like that was on me. I'll take that. Lesson learned, moving right along. It needed to happen for me to learn something new. We have the Eight of Swords in reverse. And, excuse me, and the Sun in reverse. Oh my gosh. Amber, stop. Get down. I've really been talking about a transfer of wealth, and I feel like this is what that is representing. Like, this in the reverse would be freedom, and then this in the reverse would be the opposite. So it's giving like the first, the first shall be last, and the last shall be first type energy. That would be justice. Because what happens is when there's a domination of masculine energy, which is the sun, when there's a domination of that energy, the dark feminine just, never has any light shown. Because, like I've talked about before, that the feminine is associated with like creation of life, and then the masculine is associated with sustaining life. So when the creation part is locked up like this and is bound, and there's an over domination of the masculine, but this is basically like freeing the divine feminine and taming the overexertion of the masculine. I'm hearing world domination of the masculine. Oh, yeah. And that's on that. Thank you to nobody for being here. I be too real for people. I really do. Because I really, truly don't give a fuck. I'll sit here and talk to nobody as if I'm talking to a crowd of people. And I don't give a damn who talking shit about me or none of that shit. Because I'm going to show you some motion for whoever said that bullshit. I'm going to show you motion, all right. Motion this. I'm going to show you that motion. Excuse me. Well, at the bottom of the deck it says goodbye. So I guess that means that is the end of the live. For everyone who did pop in and hit me with a couple of likes and, you know, made their presence known right quick, I appreciate